What is going on? It is Nate the Game Guy coming back with another video, and today I want to give you guys a few things that I've learned after being a game collector for 16 years. I've been a game collector since 2009, and of course, if you do the math, since we are now in 2025, it goes up to 16 years. As you can imagine, I've had a lot of dedication and a lot of fun over the years, adding different games and other miscellaneous game collectibles right here into the game room. And there's definitely some choices that I've made that were great choices and choices that were not so great choices. So of course, in this video, I'm going to share with you guys a few things that I've learned after all these years that I think would be beneficial to you as well. So without further ado, let's dive right into this video subject and take a look at some of these things that I've learned over the years right after the intro. So the first lesson that I want to share with you guys after all these years from being a game collector is the fact that don't buy games to fill up space. Now, I've heard other collectors mention this as well, but of course, this is something that I've also have dealt with through experience. Now, if you are somebody that's especially starting out as a game collector, you find a recent bundle on Facebook Marketplace, or you find a lot of 20 games on eBay and say, you're really getting excited with game collecting, or say you're already in game collecting already and you're looking at these deals and bundles, lots, all that wonderful stuff. And yeah, there will be some games in there that you may be interested in, but of course there also might be games that you may not be interested in, especially like with something such as miscellaneous sports games, right? And if you're somebody that is doing that, if you're somebody that's trying to go for a complete set or whatever, such as me, I try to complete as many game libraries and sets as possible, that may not be that big of a deal to you. But if you're somebody that just wants to buy games to actually only have the games that you want to play and you really want to fill up the shelves, throw some games on there because you just want to have it look nice, I get it. Having a shelf full of games looks a lot cooler than an empty shelf. Believe me, I've been there. But what I can tell you is that you are going to be much more happy when you have a shelf filled with things that you actually like and enjoy, rather than just filling it up with space. Now, again, a lot of people can point the finger and call me a hypocrite for that, but my counter argument is the fact that, I really enjoy trying to complete sets and all that. So even though there may be some games on there, such as Madden 2005 for like PS2 or whatever, I'm okay with that because I enjoy completing sets. But like I said, if you're somebody that just wants to have exactly what you want to play, yeah, just stick to just buying what you want. Trust me, you're going to thank me in the long run. Now, this is definitely something that I've taught myself, especially with having all these games, adding cool stuff, picking up cool stuff, right? Everything in between, is the fact that, you don't have to display everything that you own. Yes, I've been there. It's very cool to add and display that certain rare game that you've got, or that really cool collectible that you found at a yard sale or somewhere, right? And, you think it's cool. However, the truth of the matter is this is a very space intensive hobby. So even though you may have a little bit of space at like one time or another, keep in mind, if you keep adding and adding and adding stuff, believe me, you're going to run out of space. Now, I've definitely downsized over the years where I've had to decide like, hey, some of these games that I've got, I probably can't put up on display right here in the game room. I'm going to have to pack them away either when I decide to play some of these games, or I decide to just do something different with the game room, right? I mean, you don't have to display everything. Again, I get it. If you have everything thrown out like right there for you to see, I get it. It's super cool to look at everything. But again, you don't have to display everything. As long as whatever you have makes you happy and all that. Sometimes you just got to be selective at what you choose to display and what not to display, especially if you've got limited space. I get it. It's cool, but sometimes you just got to make the best decision to what makes the most sense for what's going on in your game room. Now, this is definitely something that is worth talking about right here in this video, and that is the fact that game collecting can be very addictive. Now, I don't necessarily say that as in a good way either. Now, don't get me wrong. It's always a blast to get that extra game that you want to add to your collection, or that complete set, or get this cool figurine. I get it. It's totally awesome. However, if for whatever reason you are not able to keep things in check, keep things in moderation, it can be a big problem. After all, if you don't keep it in check, obviously some of your more important responsibilities, such as paying your bills, keeping your credit card debt in check, all that stuff, it can have some pretty negative consequences. Of course, if things get out of hand, it can affect your relationships with loved ones, family, friends, coworkers, all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, there have been times where I've just felt like the need to get more and more and more and more into the collection. However, at the same time too, I had to keep myself in check. It's just because, like I said, got responsibilities. Too much of anything is not good. Not just game collecting. It doesn't matter if you're doing something different, such as Warhammer, or like movie collecting, or really any type of collecting or hobby or whatever, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be exclusive to games. However, when it comes to things that I've learned over the years, it's definitely a very big, important thing to remind yourself that, hey, you got to keep things in check and make sure that everything is within control. Because if it's not, you can expect some real problems that can come out of it real quick. And also, this is definitely something that's worth sharing. That is the fact that there's really no specific way of how you gotta collect video games and which games you gotta collect. Now, I've seen some collectors out there. They've had some pretty interesting goals with some of their game rooms and game collections. Now, I forget which collector specifically I saw on YouTube several years ago, but I remember that there was one that wanted to collect specifically all mature rated games for the Nintendo DS. Now, for somebody like me, it's not necessarily something that I would ever personally think about. But, if that's something that brings them joy, brings them fun, all that wonderful stuff, then, who cares if, somebody else thinks it's dumb or, whatever, right? I mean, after all, we all gotta have something that makes us happy. Life is too short. And I don't know about you guys, but I would rather spend the time that I have, right, doing the things that I love and enjoy. And with me, obviously, as stated from before, I enjoy trying to go for complete sets. Right now, I've got 2 in the collection, Wii U and Hyperscan. I'm working on Dreamcast. I've almost finished N-Gage. But really, the truth of the matter is there's really no correct way or incorrect way of collecting. If you just want to have all the games that you enjoy, you don't care about the value or having the box and the manual, you just care about the game, then go for it. Go get disc only, cart only, and just have a collection of that. Or if you just want to collect something, I don't know, different that most people don't think about, like collecting for all games that have the color red on the box or whatever for GameCube or whatever, right? If you want to do something weird or different like that, again, go for it. I mean, like I said, there's really no correct way of how you can game collect. It's all about, at the end of the day, having fun, doing what you enjoy, and of course, you know, just spending time just enjoying yourself, really. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out my video. Please be sure to check out these videos here, and here. After all, I post a lot of content when it comes to game collecting tips, and other video game related subjects. So be sure to keep an eye out every Monday and Friday where I upload consistently, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.